Here we are this year, 70 years later, the anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. The historic decision by the United States Supreme Court in 1954 that finally said Black children can't be banned from going to school with white children, and to do so under the separate but equal doctrine is no longer considered to be constitutional.
You know, I grew up in that. With the back of the bus, thirsty and having to figure out where is the colored water fountain, where if I was walking down the street and white folk were coming toward me, I was told to move over and if necessary into the street because they had the sidewalk. I'm afraid we sensed victory too soon. Today, I can say schools are segregated. It's by zip codes. But there is a sense that is a resistance to victories that we had won.
We've had histories of deprivation of education in our country, and so what do citizens lose without an education as members of a democratic society?
I'm thinking very quickly of the words of one of my sheroes, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, that great educator. When I learned to read, the whole world opened up to me. That's what we do when we don't teach children to read. We say, you can't have the whole world.
Right.
It is the most fundamental block of an inclusive democracy. And that doesn't mean that you've got to somehow get a PhD or you've got to be a civil engineer. It means you've got to learn. And you got to love learning. And you got to never, ever stop learning.
Today we're seeing books being banned. We're seeing ideas that teach students empathy and critical thinking, notions of belonging, actually being discouraged, cut from libraries. How much should we be concerned about that right now?
Deeply concerned. If we look at what has happened with the fall of democracies in Europe, it's there. And the early signs of it are now in our country. That is why we cannot ban books. That is why we have to have in our classrooms that time-honored ability to ask any question.
Share some thoughts about where we are. What do we still have to do?
We, as ordinary citizens, can do some things. Go to the school board and say, we need to discuss this. I'm not in South Africa during the period of apartheid. I'm in my country, and it's 2024, where books are banned. I was thinking the other day about what happens when we, within whatever is our major or principal community, step into a place in defense of yet another community. That is democracy in its fullness.